Hello, everyone. Welcome to our KaiNexus Training Team Office Hours webinar, episode 9, aka the Banna Rippey Show. My name is Ryan Rippey, and I am the Customer Enablement Manager here at KaiNexus. And I'm joined today by my partner in crime, Solutions Engineer, Matt Banna. How's it going, Matt?
Good, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Matt, I noticed you're wearing a Bears polo there. So, this is the last week with no football. I'm pretty excited.
Is it really?
Yeah, so preseason starts next week.
I just wore it because it's, dry fit and it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, well, it's a nice shirt. Hopefully your team wins more than 2 or 3 games this year.
We will. You watch out.
Speaking of dry fit, I just bought this. What do they call this? The Fitbit here. I'm wearing on my wrist. So one of the things that it alerts you is when you need to get up and start moving around. So if I happen to leave the webinar to go walk around, I apologize in advance.
Okay, I was sick one time. I said I'm sorry. Can we just move on?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so for those of you new to our webinar series, welcome aboard. The way this works is Van and I plan to nerd out here for the next 20-30 minutes or so on a KaiNexus topic that we will go ahead and share with everyone in just a bit. The purpose of these webinars is for us to review the hottest topics and latest and greatest features that are suggested by you, our customers. So before I reveal our topic for today, let's just go over some quick housekeeping items. All right, now the webinar is being recorded, so we will go ahead and send out the slides if needed, as well as that recording to everyone after the webinar. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to type those into the chat box. We will do our best to answer those in real time, as well as at the very end of the webinar if we have some time left over. So, Banna, I know most people already know the topic for today, but just out of tradition, can we get a drum roll as we reveal the topic? Thank you very much, sir. All right, so today we're going to be talking about our 2.2.9 release. So earlier this month, we unveiled our latest 2.2.9 release. So we're going to be taking a look at the top new features in that release. So specifically taking a look at what is on our agenda for today. First thing we're going to talk about, Matt, is recursive project copy. From there, we're going to get into resolution to all workflows. So this was a game-changing feature that we just unveiled. From there, we're going to take a look at some of the impact summary improvements that were added. I'm not sure everybody was able to get an understanding of what's new to the impact summary. We'll take a look at bulk edit, which is an awesome new feature that everybody's excited about. We'll move into some custom layout enhancements. So Banna, we did our release video when this release originally came out, but there was a new phase of custom layout features that we want to talk about. So we definitely want to highlight that for those of you interested in taking more advantage of the custom layout options that KaiNexus offers. And then last, we're going to end with probably the biggest feature in the 2.2.9 release, which is all around standard work, which I'm really excited about. So Banna, we should go ahead and hop into KaiNexus. Oh, wait a second. How did that get in there? This was our, this was just a couple weeks ago. We had our company outing, our mid-annual meeting. Everybody was here in Austin, and you put this together for us, Matt. We went axe throwing. Why am I holding a piece of the board that we were throwing axes at?
You did win. I know that you want me to say that.
Can you say that again?
The most important thing is that the Austin office brought home the championship.
That is very important, yes. I'm sorry, I have no idea how that got in there. But let's get out of this PowerPoint and jump into KaiNexus. All right, Matt, so taking a look at what we had on our agenda, I'm going to start with the recursive project copy feature. So to take a look at this feature, let's go ahead and dive into a project that we have in the system. So we're going to be working off of this improved Gemini product line. So let's click in here and expand this so hopefully everybody can see this a little bit better. So a little bit of context on this feature. Previously, KaiNexus could only copy a project and any nested items that were directly below it. So what we found is this could become very time consuming to copy much bigger projects with a lot of nested items, potentially that were multiple levels down, right? So with the new recursive project copy, what we're going to see is you can now copy any or all nested items up to 100 total. So in order to do that, what you'll do is once you're actually in your parent project, hit the ellipses in the top right corner. And from this drop down, let's go ahead and select copy. So here on this screen, this should look pretty new to some of our KaiNexus vets. This is asking us, first of all, what we want to name our copy. So maybe we want to say, okay, we're going to copy this project. Let's name it Improvement Gemini Product Line number 2. And so if I wanted to just make a copy of this top level project, I could go ahead and click, I understand this cannot be undone, go ahead and copy that. But the purpose of this feature is to be able to copy all those nested items. So we'll see here we have this checkbox. I'm gonna go ahead and copy nested items. And so the first question we're being prompted with is, how many levels down do we want to copy? So by default, first it says 1 level. So that would be any items that are directly nested underneath our project in this case. If we only wanted to stick with the 1 level, we can go ahead and select that. And then the next question would be, do you want to copy all types? So all workflow types here. Do we want all of the nested projects, improvements, charts, and tasks that are nested underneath there? Or for example, would we only want to grab like the tasks that are nested? If that was the case, we would select no here and then just determine which specific workflows underneath this project we want to grab. Now on the flip side, if we want to get real granular and copy over all of the items, let's come back to the top here. Let's select all levels. And so when you select all levels, the next question is going to be the same. Do you want to copy all types, right? The projects, improvement, charts, and task workflow. So if yes, you're good to go. If not, you'll select the particular types you want. Let's stay with yes here. Now the new question that we're asked now is, in the subsequent levels, do you want to copy all types? So what this means, Banna, is that, for example, if we have 2 projects nested underneath this improved Gemini product line, and then those projects have items that are nested underneath it, do we want to go ahead and copy all of those? So again, in this case, if we wanted to copy everything, we would select yes. If we only wanted to choose specific types, we would select no and then include what those nested items were.
Well, make sure you note that note beneath it where we can only do the first 100 items.
Yes, good point, Banna. So usually, I mean, 100 items is quite a lot of items, yeah. So you should be able to get all of your items included. But if there was a case that you had a project with more than 100 items nested, it's only going to grab the first 100. So if something is not in there, just be wary of that.
Well, as long as you don't have a project for every single Dalmatian, I think you might be okay.
Yeah. So, and then Brandon, we went ahead and added the I understand this cannot be undone, because you can potentially shoot yourself in the foot if you have a project with 90 items nested underneath it and go ahead and copy all of those items. That's going to put you in a situation that if you don't want all of those 90 items, you're going to manually have to go in and delete those. So that once we go ahead and determine what we want to copy, we'll hit I understand this cannot be undone, and we'll go ahead and copy that. Banna, I'm not going to copy this product line example, but we are going to go ahead and show what that looks like in another example later on. But again, this should really help with standard work, as well as making it easier to create similar projects, probably in different areas of the organization with relative ease, right? All right, Banna, there's a couple of other small features while we're in this improved Gemini product line that I want to talk about. So one of the things is, if we scroll down, you'll see in this project that we have this nested projects section. And so what we've done is we've made this panel actually smart enough to create things specific to the filters that we include here in this section. So if I go ahead and let's take a look at how this is filtering down, Banna. It's probably just anything that has this as a parent. So yeah, so right now, anything that's nested underneath this particular project is showing up here in the nested items. So let's say, for example, we wanted to add a new project here. You'll see when I add a project and go to create, I have a couple of different options that I can choose from. But let's say specifically that we only want to have a certain type of project that's going to show up for us. What we can do is, if we come back to our nested projects, let's add an additional filter criteria to this, Banna. I'm going to go ahead and edit the filter. I'm going to use the type criteria, and then let's actually filter this down so it's only showing any projects that are nested underneath this. So I'm going to go ahead and save and apply. So obviously that's going to drop off that Kaizen event that was in there, because that was a different workflow in the system. So now if we go in and actually hit the plus sign to create a project, based off of the filter criteria we have, we'll see when we add a project and create, it immediately brings us to create a project.
It knows that we just want to create this project type.
Based off of how we have this filtered, it knows that we're only having projects show up nested underneath in this specific example. So this is huge, Banna, because one of the things that a lot of users will sometimes be confused about is you know, when do I use a certain workflow? And so what this allows you to do is, if you have these sections already filtered out appropriately, when you train your users to go in and create the nested items that need to roll up, this will just take the guesswork out of it, right? They'll go in and create the item that they're supposed to. Banna, we can take this a step further. So let's say, for example, if we take a look at this nested project, maybe we also add a filter for a specific attribute type. So here we're taking a look at the on track. So I'm going to add this into our filter as well. So let's edit our filter. We'll add another for our attribute. What was it called? It was state. So yeah, we'll use state here. So our attribute is state, and then it was on track, right? Yep. So we'll go ahead and add this in, save and apply. So we'll still see that project here. Now what's going to be nice is, again, we go in and add that project. Now that particular attribute, it's not showing up here on the create screen, but if we move to our advanced section, we'll see that this will automatically populate that state with the on track.
Awesome.
So cool. Again, one less thing you got to worry about based off of how you're going to set those filter criteria for your nested items. This is going to just, again, take away the guesswork, make sure that the specific fields and everything that need to be populated and everything's being displayed appropriately.
Yeah, maybe you're making a project for a strategic initiative and you want to make sure that every project beneath that has that initiative going down.
Exactly.
So you can filter for safety or quality or whatever that initiative may be, and it'll all be linked.
And the one last thing I want to talk about while we're on here, Banna, is, again, if we were going to go ahead and copy this improved Gemini product line, what we've done here in the nested projects, we put this in a list view, right? So we came in here, we went to view, we added this as a list view, and you can choose what specific columns you want to show up. When we actually go ahead and copy this, all of the specific filters and the specific view that we see here is going to copy over for us as well. So again, less kind of manual work going in and setting up all of your items to have the same view. Once you copy it, it'll be in place for you.
Man, you must have heard project copy, and we really dove in on that one.
Yeah, I'm geeking out a little bit here. I apologize, but there was a lot of really cool features we weren't able to go into detail with on our release video. So I want to make sure people understand just how powerful KaiNexus is. All right, Banna, let's move into resolution to all workflows. So we finally made the leap. You can now put a resolution on a project and even tasks. So when we say all workflows, project, improvement, chart, task, any of those workflows can now have resolution. What this is going to mean for any project heavy organizations, anybody who's very focused on that top-down element to what you're using KaiNexus for, we can now calculate the impact directly from the project instead of through nesting and improvement. So again, for our KaiNexus veterans, if we come up to our status picker and from the drop-down, you'll see this is a project. So before this release, you would only be able to go in and complete this. Now from the drop-down, we'll be able to come in and you'll see we can resolve, similar to what we've seen in improvements, right? So that's going to take you to that resolution screen where you're going to be able to measure that impact, the change, whatever impact types that you have available for you. If it's something along the lines of cost savings, revenue generation, time savings, whatever that may be, you'll be able to calculate that directly on the project. So I'm just going to do a quick example here, Banna. Maybe this was a revenue generation of $5,000. So once we've added in everything here, we can go ahead and complete out our project and capture that impact directly on the project. One of the other things I want to talk about with this topic, Banna, is adding resolution on a task. So one of the examples I've seen with this is if we come back to, let's jump out of this project here. So I'm going to come into my notifications. Greg got assigned a task. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you want to be able to assign out a task and have that person submit it for approval, maybe not necessarily have to go in and measure impact on it, but just simply, you know, maybe you're coaching your users through adding a profile picture in KaiNexus. and you send them a task, and so it says, hey, update your profile picture. They go ahead and do that, and then they want their supervisor to kind of check off on that before they can actually complete that. Here's an example of a task when you come in and want to actually resolve this, where the impact is not included on here. It's simply going to be, do I need to review this? And in this case, Greg has the ability to complete this, but
Greg is our super user.
Greg's our super
Greg can
user.
do anything.
He knows what he's doing in KaiNexus. But for a more frontline user, when they come in here, they won't have the ability to complete, but they'll submit this for approval. So again, the supervisor can sign off, make sure that that task was done correctly, and then ultimately complete it. But again, don't necessarily have to include the impact or investment or anything like that on this screen.
All right, Ryan, I got a question for you.
Talk to me, Banna.
So how do I distinguish between a project and an improvement resolution in our impact summary, in our reporting section?
Great question.
Now that you can do both, how do I tell how do I tell them apart?
I like where your head's at. So it's actually much simpler than you think. Let's jump over to the impact summary report. So we're going to go over to our report section, and we'll go to impact. Let's pull up our impact summary. So Banna, when you come into the impact summary, you'll notice in the top right now, underneath the date filter, we now have this section for all versus improvements only. So if anybody wants to get with your CE representative and take advantage of adding the impact onto a project, for example, definitely work with your CE team advisor to get that put in place on the templates that are needed. For those of you, once you go ahead and start taking advantage of that, when you come into the impact summary and you have your projects, improvements, all that impact being measured, by default, it's going to select all. So it's going to include all of that impact, whether it's project specific, improvement specific. If you want to only see based off of improvements, you'll go ahead and select improvements only. So by selecting improvements only, this is going to remove any of those other workflows. And I say projects, but again, if you have tasks, charts, anything that has impact, you can remove those by just going back to improvements. So this was the default standard way that when you came in the impact summary, that's the data that was being displayed, is that improvements only. This is going to be a way for you to switch between the two. Now, Banna, to go even further, if I wanted to come in and only see the impact on maybe all of my charts or something like that, you'll use the advanced filter criteria here to come in and choose that specific workflow. For example, if we had this enabled on charts, you would be able to see all of the impact on your charts in the system. We don't have it configured like that, so we won't be able to show that here. But again, that's a new change that we'll see here on the impact summary. There's actually a few other things.
Yeah, what's this arrow here? That looks pretty new.
Yeah, so taking a look at the impact summary, we received some feedback that it was difficult to see the aggregate breakdown of the impact report section.
We had to hover over each of those categories.
Exactly. So if you remember, we always had to hover over each of these, the savings, revenue, time saved, which is still intact. If I hover over savings, this is going to give us a breakdown of the cost savings. In this case, we have resource set up as well. And then if it's a one-time or recurring. So one of the things that we got some feedback about was being able to visualize this directly on the report. So now we have the ability to expand based off of clicking on this little drop-down arrow to see more detail. So this is giving us that full breakdown of our time savings, financial savings, revenue generated. And what we did, Ben, is we built this smart enough so that it's going to remember your preferred view. So as a user, when you come into the report section and check out your impact summary, every time I come back to the impact summary now, this will always be expanded and visible for me. Another thing that's really nice, Banna, is again, for our KaiNexus veterans out there, impact summary can go on a card on a board. So if you add that impact summary, you also will have the ability to include these details on there as well.
Or disinclude it to keep it the same way.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat, right? One other small thing on here, Banna, is you'll notice we have two different cost savings types. So in this case, we have a cost saving and then we have a cost savings recurring. We added the ability to see the specific financial value, for example, everything that's cost savings recurring, how much there is, and everything that's just cost savings here. And again, you can also see the number of items that have been closed out with that particular impact, so you could click in and get a more detailed look. So just some small feature enhancements on the impact summary, but really crucial stuff that will just help you get a snapshot of
visibility
everything.
Improvements.
Exactly. Ben, I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Have you been rambling?
Well, you know what? It also, yeah, I've been rambling a little bit, and it looks like my Fitbit is telling me I got to walk around a little bit. So why don't you jump into some stuff that we haven't covered yet?
Well, we know it used to be pretty hard to edit lots of data at once. So I'm going to head back to my personal dashboard here. What we've done is we've added a bulk edit option. Now, putting your projects or improvements in a list view allows you to bulk edit these items to save you a ton of time. So we can head over to the ellipses menu and hit bulk change, which gives us this new bulk change button.
Yep.
It also gives us this selector on the left-hand side. So we can select a number of projects, improvements, tasks, charts, whatever it may be, and then we can bulk change these items.
So let's see what kind of options we have here. We can change a team member. Looks like we can change dates of items. We can change attributes as well as add a comment. So I got a question for you, Banna. So you mentioned if, for example, we're taking a look at a list view and we have—
These are all improvements.
Okay, so we're looking at all improvements here. Maybe we had a list view that included projects and improvements. If I selected a project and improvement and wanted to add a collaborator, obviously collaborators won't be on a project. So am I limited? Like what's going to happen in the system? Is it going to recognize that?
So if you want to add a collaborator, they'll only be reflected within your improvements.
Okay, perfect. So no issues there. Awesome. Nope. So Banna, let's use an example. Let's add a comment. Let's say hi to someone and test this out.
Keep doing a great job. So you can send that comment, you know, every single improvement that we've selected here.
Thanks, Greg. All right, let's click into one of those improvements. Check out our comment. Boom, there it is.
There's Greg's comment right there.
Very nice.
We are doing a great job. Thank you. I will like that. And then I will also acknowledge the fact that I'm doing a good job. Thanks,
Perfect.
Greg.
So Banna, you're looking at this in a list view on a card. I think another area that'll probably be pretty common to do this would be if we actually go, yes. So if we take a look at lists, when we come in here and put this in the list view, just another place that you'll be able to take advantage of that.
Just gotta go over and switch to our list view here.
Switch to list view, yep. And then we'll have that bulk change.
The same area right under the ellipses. Hit the bulk change. We get the same button and then
be able to select our items
down the list.
Perfect. And just even going beyond that for everyone on the call here today, if you're taking a look at items that are nested within a particular item and want to put those in list view, or specifically for tasks that are in detail view, you'll also have that bulk change option to be able to do that in there as well. So this was an awesome feature, Banna. We wanted this internally. All of our customers were begging for this, so we were really excited.
I think this was the most asked for feature, one of them.
For this release? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, in general.
In general?
In general.
Oh my God.
Everybody loves bulk change.
That's awesome.
So another one of the things in this release that we came out with was some custom layout enhancements. So I'm going to click on our storage organization A3 that we've made into a custom layout. We've done a number of changes here. The first thing that I'm going to show is that we've added a unified list to a custom layout. So right now at the top we have our tasks and our countermeasures, but we can actually make a list of all of our items all together at once.
Yeah, so I can see here, Banna, just kind of looking at this nested items, looks like we have a bunch of tasks. We also have a chart. So this could include any types of workflows, project, improvement,
as long as
task
it's nested
charts.
here, we can do anything.
Very cool.
Yep. We've also been able to filter some of the panels in our template. So from scratch, we can have a filter directly for these countermeasures or this task card. So this, if we jump open our edit menu here, we see that it's automatically been filtered for our storage org as our parent and as this countermeasure task type.
So to kind of break that down for everyone and relate this back to what we were looking at with the filters earlier in our webinar, basically what Banna is referring to is we can set up this template so that the specific sections, in this case our countermeasures, are going to automatically filter for you. So again, it just takes away the manual labor of
any ambiguity
and that as well, right? So if we set up the filters on the back end, and then when people come in and have to create a specific item, it's going to automatically, based off of the improvements we saw earlier, would go ahead and create a countermeasure in this case.
Yep, and then we can even hop over the task tab and it'll show us all of our tasks here. And then we have separate sections for our countermeasures and our tasks.
So so what Banna is looking at here, this is another feature that we introduced. We're taking a look at the task tab. Right now, as Banna mentioned, you can see all of your tasks that are nested. You can see the specific countermeasures of the specific tasks. So whatever you'd like to see if you're using this task tab, if you only want to see all items, if you only want to see the specific items broken down by the filters and the sections that you've set up on your item, we can customize this view as well. So here we see everything. If we only wanted to see one versus the other, we can do that too.
So jumping out of our custom layout here, our most highly anticipated feature in 2.2.9 is standard work. Now, standard work allows you to create a template that automatically adds other nested improvements, projects, tasks, documents, links, whatever you need. So what we've done is we've created a training class called a learner, and this task or this project has multiple tasks already nested beneath it.
Okay.
So when we create it, it's going to automatically create those tasks for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So our learner today is going to be Ryan. And we go ahead and we create this project. We'll jump in right here. We automatically have tasks already listed under that project.
Very cool, Ben. And I like, so you use an example of a learner. So just kind of giving everyone some use case examples. This can work for your A3s. It can work for your training classes or certification. If you're practicing DMAIC or PDSA, we can set those up as well. There's no limit here. Whatever sort of standard work you have in place and want to be able to build out in KaiNexus, we now have the ability to do that for you. This is awesome, Banna. This is something that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about at our user conference. We actually are going to be doing a training workshop, a standard workshop, if you will. And this is going to be the main feature that we're going to take a look at, helping our customers to get that standard work in place, just to help make things more seamless and easier to use the system. Again, when you have a particular, in this case, workflow, a project that has those same tasks that you're always going to have to go through whenever you create this. I love it, man. All right, Banna, we're doing pretty well on time. We got about 3 minutes left, so I don't see any live questions, but we did have a few questions that were submitted to us during the registration. So one of the questions we have here is we want to get some more information on how to personalize a dashboard. This is a really
Brenda from Mohawk.
Yeah, this is a really great question, and we don't have enough time to cover this today. But what I would recommend is if you're looking at creating a personal dashboard, when you come in and create that board, once you're taking a look at your board, here we actually have this personal dashboard. What I would do is create different item lists. So have an item list that shows you and have this filter down, maybe to have all of your tasks, then do one for all of your improvements, one for all of your projects. This is just going to help you stay on top of those particular items that you are associated with in the system, right? Now, in terms of actually like doing a little bit more personalization, I mean, the layout you can change here. So when you're creating a board, if you want to have 3 columns versus 2 columns, you can do some customization here. Also, if you're kind of looking at making this colorful, you have the ability to come in, mess with the layout.
You read my mind right there.
You can change some of the colors of your headers. And so this is more of actually like personalizing your personal dashboard. But in terms of setting it up, again, I would have at least those 3 different cards for your improvements, tasks, and projects in the system. And then just go ahead and use the filtering abilities in KaiNexus to make sure you're only looking at your specific items. Maybe you have a card of all of your overdue items or anything stagnant. Any of that type of information is going to help you whenever you log in. That's what you land on. That's what you start working off of. Brenda had another question, Banna. So the easiest way to put information into an Excel spreadsheet. Can you show us how to do that both in lists and then in a specific item?
Yeah, so we can head over to our list view and we can export anything from our list side here. So we can head over to our ellipses and then we can hit the export button and we can save it as an Excel or as a PDF.
Perfect. And then if you actually go into a specific item, you'd be able to do the same thing on those as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we're going to just open up this chart. It'll work the same way for any of our types of workflows.
Save Excel.
So here we have our save Excel, our save PDF.
Perfect. It's as easy as that. All right, Banna. We got another question here. So this was Deborah from OLOL. What are strategies for staying goal focused when there are many priorities and daily burning issues? This is a really great question. And I immediately go to what our next feature in 2.2.10 is going to be, and that's all around weighted scores. So spoiler alert, we'll be doing a webinar in August. Banna will talk a little bit about this as we close things out. But one of the features that we have coming in our next release is all around weighted scores, where you'll be able to go in and establish a criteria and basically be able to prioritize based off of the criteria you've put in place, right? That's going to be an awesome feature. That's going to be available to everyone that we can get that set up. In terms of kind of looking at things right now, Banna, for me, it's really an attribute, right? So if you're taking a look at priority, or maybe you have an attribute for impact and effort and kind of using a pick chart, that's going to help kind of guide your eyes to the specific items that are going to require attention, right? Anything that's high priority, anything that's maybe a low effort but high impact is an item I'm probably going to want to prioritize. So that's kind of where my mind goes. Anything you want to add there? Anything?
Yeah, no, that's definitely where my mind went too. And like you said, with that new release, that 2.2.10 prioritizations coming out, definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, so Deborah, I would sign up for that 2.2.10 webinar, which we'll be hosting at the end of August, and hopefully that'll help out with your prioritization. Banna, take us out.
Now, for everybody watching, if you have any questions or need assistance with any of the configuration on the features that we covered here today, please reach out to your KaiNexus customer experience representative.
Talk much?
We also encourage you to head on over to our support site. We have tons of pages here about any of our new features that we covered here today.
As well as pre-existing features, right? This is a Google search of KaiNexus, if you will. So a lot of great material, and we keep this updated.
Then be sure to check out our blogs. We have an improvement blog and a customer blog, so you can learn more about improvement in general or KaiNexus. We put awesome content on there all the time. Don't miss it. Now, sign up for our training team office hours, our next Banna Rippey Show, episode 10, at the end of August. And then look out, because the following week, the Banna Rippey Show will be going live and in person at the 2018 KaiNexus User Conference.
I just got goosebumps.
Oh, me too. Be sure to register today so you get your monthly quota of your favorite training team live and in person. Spots are limited, and it is filling up fast, so we can head over to our User Conference tab here. Make sure you book a room, check out the pricing, bring it up to your boss, say, hey, I need to go to Austin, I need to see Banna Rippey Show.
And again, everything that our focus is going to be for our training workshop all around standard work at the end of that conference. So we'll be able to take a deeper dive into that feature as well.
Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Continuous Improvement podcast on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, so you don't miss our latest discussions, features, fun times. This has been Matt Banna and Ryan Rippey with KaiNexus. Keep improving.
We'll see you Kai next time.